Tonight, travel troubles. As Scotland faces a weekend emergency timetable, ScotRail introduces extra late-night services. But things are far from getting back on track.
Tomorrow we've had about 6 cancellations so far, and it's looking like there could be more. So a lot of people are obviously relying on trains to get through and get home, and they're not able to do that.
Also making the headlines, remembering those who lost their lives in the pandemic. Scotland's COVID memorial officially opens in Glasgow's Pollock Park. After breaking the rules, the Prime Minister is changing the rules so misbehaving government ministers don't have to resign.
And on show at Kelvin Grove, a celebration of artist and writer John Byrne's life and work.
I'm Emma Cameron in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. ScotRail is adding more services later at night as it battles to keep the country moving amid the train driver dispute. Unions are considering a renewed pay offer, but there's no end in sight to the cancellations and delays, and an emergency timetable remains in place.
As the weekend gets underway, people are struggling to plan their journeys, and pubs, restaurants, theatres and cinemas say they desperately need services to get back to normal so their businesses can continue their recovery from the impact of COVID. Well, our political reporter Laura Alderman is in Edinburgh bus station for us tonight. And Laura, are people heading there to try and get around instead of Waverley then?
Well, if you're heading on a night out in Edinburgh tonight, you may well pass through here on your way home, because although ScotRail have introduced those new late-night services, many people have already made their travel plans, have already booked bus tickets, or have already cancelled their plans completely because of that disruption to the rail network. ScotRail saying today that it was always part of their review process to add these extra services when they had the resources to do so, and they were keen to stress that it bears no relation to those ongoing talks with the ASLEF union. But it does make you wonder if customer dissatisfaction combined with impacts on the wider economy have perhaps helped get these services back on track. Staying in a glass half full kind of mood is becoming increasingly difficult for staff at this wine bar in Edinburgh. With so many trains cancelled, customers can't make their evening bookings, and the empty tables are burning a hole in their profits.
Tomorrow we've had about 6 cancellations so far, and it's looking like there could be more. So a lot of people are obviously relying on trains to get through and get home, and they're not able to do that. So obviously I think driving through is not very attractive, especially to a wine bar where we have lots of wine.
The reduced service came into force on Monday, slashing more than 700 journeys, as ScotRail remains locked in a pay dispute with train drivers from the ASLEF union. For the bars and restaurants which rely on rail commuters, like this one, which is right next to Waverley, a severely reduced timetable means severely reduced trading hours. Staff here have been telling me that customers are simply coming in earlier and then leaving earlier in what should be their peak trading hours.
It wouldn't be as bad if you had advanced warning, but you could be standing there and then all of a sudden your train's cancelled. I appreciate they've got to get a good living wage and everything like that, but when you're working, it's a bit of a nightmare.
I don't even bother trying to get the train home from nights out because it's not worth it. They'll just be cancelled.
I was supposed to go home last night. The last train was at 10:15, which for like the end of the week, it's a student night, it's a Thursday. It's not ideal to be leaving your pals at like 9:30 to get the train, is it?
This afternoon, ScotRail announced additional late-night services for today and tomorrow, but remains far short of normal schedules. Bus companies, who have already increased their capacity to cope with disruption, are expecting a busy weekend.
So I really encourage people who are travelling to book in advance for Sunday in particular. But we can add coaches, subject to knowing in advance that we're going to have the passenger numbers. We do have a number of standby vehicles available in Glasgow and Edinburgh that we can slot onto the network to meet unexpected peaks in demand.
The uncertainty is having a knock-on effect on taxi drivers too.
Less people travelling, there's going to be less people coming out here for a taxi, less people coming out the Waverley for a taxi, so that, I suppose, it may have an impact on us, yeah.
ASLEF members are now considering an improved pay offer of 4.2%, but customers are braced for more disruption.
So Laura, disruption continues, but what are ScotRail and the union saying?
Well, the union are saying it could take several weeks to ballot all of their members, so even if this new pay offer is accepted and the dispute is resolved, it's not like the train network is going to snap back to normal overnight. ScotRail are also telling me this evening that they've not managed yet to put up a revised, reduced timetable for Sunday. So the normal Sunday timetable is going to go ahead, but there will of course be lots of cancellations, so they're urging passengers to check their journey before they travel. But ultimately, if you are planning to travel by train at the moment, it remains the case that it's becoming increasingly difficult just to make solid plans.
Indeed, Laura. Many thanks for that.
Tears were shed as Scotland's COVID memorial was officially opened in Glasgow's Pollock Park. Bereaved families were involved in helping to design the space, which it's hoped will provide people with a place to reflect and recover.
And a collection of memories of the difficult times during the pandemic has been gathered, called I Remember. Some of the relatives of people who died during the pandemic have been speaking to our chief reporter, Sharon Frew.
This was a significant day for the families who had gathered. Many have planted wildflowers here to help this memorial grow. The space had been due to be opened by the First Minister, but as she has COVID, her deputy John Swinney stepped into her place. After a short service, relatives walked together in a moment of reflection.
They aren't alone, even though it does feel like the longest time in your life when you lose someone to COVID, especially if it's a partner. One of the sculptures over there, behind me, was I'd asked Alec if he could incorporate a hug into the area I Remember, and that's what he's done. And as soon as I seen the sculpture, I knew which one it was, and he said that to me. He says, "That one's for you." So that was great, really great.
I remember that night as clear as day. The night we got the call.
Single sentences describing thoughts and feelings from the past 2 years have been recorded by the actor Robert Carlyle as part of this national memorial. NHS staff, care home workers and bereaved families all contributed to this collection.
I remember my heart breaking every time we had another death. I remember feeling so helpless.
I just want to thank everybody that's helped us along the way as well, because it's been tough. It's a tough road. I would rather speak about Jim and the good times and the crazy things that he used to do, and but it just brings it all back. It's just a constant battle. Having this place to come is lovely, and Robert Carlyle reading out the I Remembers, like when you scan the codes, is phenomenal.
I remember coming home after shifts and crying in the doorway, unable to hug anyone until it was clean.
I don't know what it's like to lose a loved one, but as someone with long COVID, I can explain that experience to someone else. It's not really my work. I'd say that it's a memorial created by the people of Scotland.
I remember when you lifted me onto your toes and waltzed me around the room.
This memory was from Caroline Murdoch for her dad, John.
I remember feeling safe when you carried me on your shoulders.
But I remember when COVID took you from me, and I wish I had kept you safe. Yeah, which I do. It's just nice to know that it's recorded somewhere. He was a special wee man.
The campaign for this memorial was led by the Herald newspaper. Those who created it say this is just a beginning. It will be completed by the National Day of Remembrance next year. Sharon Frew, STV News.
Just days after the damning Sue Gray report was published, the Prime Minister has watered down the ministerial code so those who break the rules don't have to resign.
It comes ahead of an inquiry by a House of Commons committee into whether Boris Johnson lied to Parliament over parties at Downing Street. Live now to our Westminster correspondent Catherine Sampson. And Catherine, what sort of reaction has this had?
Well, as you might expect, opposition parties are pretty furious about this, coming out on a Friday afternoon in the wake of Sue Gray. The Liberal Democrats Chief Whip Wendy Chamberlain, who of course is also a North East Fife MP, has accused the Prime Minister of trying to rig the rules to get himself off the hook. Now, previously it was expected that any minister found to have broken the code should automatically offer a resignation or face the sack. But the statement today from the Prime Minister says this is disproportionate, and in future ministers can apologise apologise or temporarily lose pay instead. One of the reasons given for the change is to avoid vexatious complaints from rivals and other parties. But of course this comes as Boris Johnson faces investigation by the Privileges Committee into whether he misled Parliament by claiming there were no parties in Number 10 and no rules were broken. Now he denies knowingly misleading the House. The code does continue to say it is a resignation matter if a minister does knowingly mislead the House, but the Prime Minister has rewritten the foreword to the code, removing references to honesty, transparency and leadership in the public interest. Now, in terms of whether Conservative MPs may move to oust the Prime Minister, there's been a slow trickle of some Conservative MPs putting out statements saying they will submit letters of no confidence. We had one in the last hour, Sir Bob Neal, but we're not really anywhere near the numbers that would be needed yet to really trouble the Prime Minister and his team.
Catherine, Westminster, thank you. Linda MacDonald was violently attacked by the convicted murderer Robbie McIntosh while he was on home leave. 5 years on, and she's still waiting for answers from the Scottish Prison Service about why he was released, who is responsible, and why such a dangerous prisoner wasn't tagged or monitored.
Now, Linda has launched a campaign to drive change at the heart of the parole system to prevent anyone else suffering in the way she has. She's been speaking to Lynn Rankin.
Why did you let a dangerous murderer out to roam about the woods to try and kill?
It's a question Linda MacDonald is still waiting on an answer to. 5 years ago, she was brutally attacked by convicted killer Robbie McIntosh. As a 15-year-old boy, he stabbed Anne Nicholl 29 times on Dundee's Law Hill. 16 years later, while on home leave from prison, he battered Linda with dumbbells while she was walking her dog in Templeton Woods.
I even don't hold him responsible, and that sounds really weird for folk to hear. I hold SBS responsible. The Scottish Prison Service, they had him for 16 years. There was plenty of red flags, because if they'd have communicated with the proper relevant people, even letting him out, there would have been a more stringent, robust system in place for monitoring him. The police didn't even know he was out, because they would have had to look at the register, but the register was not updated.
The grandmother has now launched the Justice for Linda campaign to change the parole system. She wants more stringent rules for the most dangerous criminals and plans to take the issue to the Scottish Parliament, but needs 10,000 people to sign her online petition.
15, 16 years on, it was just he'd served his punishment part. This was the system. A life sentence should mean a life sentence, and all the red flags were there to say that he'd served his punishment part, but he still was not safe to be released. I don't call myself a victim, but I feel I've got to have a voice for myself, for Anne Nicholl, and to save this ever happening again.
But Linda has little faith in a system that almost cost her her life. Just weeks ago, a letter from the prison service asked her why McIntosh should not be considered for a parole hearing.
Could you imagine my shock and disbelief? Why are you even getting in touch with me to ask me that? He brutally murdered, savagely murdered a woman at 15. He nearly murdered me. You allowed him the opportunity to attack me, and you're asking me 5 years on. I was just shocked.
Her physical scars have long healed, but Linda lives with the trauma of the attack. She hopes the campaign will bring her closure and prevent anyone else going through what she did.
Other stories across the country. 5 more cases of severe hepatitis have been confirmed in children in Scotland. The UK Health Security Agency says 31 children have now had the infection since the start of the year across Britain. Symptoms include jaundice and yellowy eyes, but health officials say the risk remains low.
An 80-metre long section of the Kincardine Bridge is to be replaced at an estimated cost of £16 million, with work expected to take at least 18 months. Bayer Scotland says disruption will be minimised by diverting traffic along a temporary 2-lane bridge.
Calmac's new ferry, the Loch Freesa, is set to sail to take up its new position at Oban. The second-hand vessel was bought from the Norwegians last October and has spent 6 months being refurbished in Leith docks. It's expected to serve as a secondary vessel on the Oban to Mull crossing.
Council chiefs are seeking an enthusiastic head teacher to take up a post at one of the country's most isolated schools. The island of Fula lies approximately 16 miles west of the Shetland mainland, with just 28 people living there. The school has 4 pupils, with another youngster at the nursery.
It's an adventure. Fula is an adventure. It's a wonderful place. The people are so warm and welcoming. It's absolute joy to be here. I'm not sure, I wasn't committed to how long I would last when I got here, and I'm going right up to my retirement, so I'm obviously very happy here.
Rockets flying overhead and a town attacked. That was a reality for one Ukrainian family of 5 who've now found refuge in Scotland. Mum Natalia says for the first time in a long time, her children feel safe.
She, her husband and their 3 children, one of whom is disabled, are living with a sponsor family in Lanarkshire. They're adjusting to life away from their home and getting to know their hosts. Vanessa Taff has been to meet them.
Overcoming language barriers the best way children know how. This is just one of many Ukrainian families that made the difficult decision to leave their home for safety in Scotland, as Mum Natalia had studied here.
Honestly, it was becoming very dangerous. And when we came here, and the sirens, you know, they were like going on all the time, and kids like got scared. Like
so many rockets flying over.
We got like photos from our friends that the rocket was destroyed 1.5 miles from our home, and it was like huge hole in the ground where it's hit. So it could have been our home.
Their 13-year-old son Levko has a rare form of muscular dystrophy. He's adapting to his wheelchair-friendly home, something he didn't have in Ukraine.
It's definitely easier for us and for him because our flat in Ukraine had so many stairs.
All the time I just take him, in my back, and going in the stairs. For example, to take him in the toilet, I must take him in the back. Here it's much easier, because he's got the toilet in his own room,
Sponsor Gillian heard about their situation and welcomed them into her home.
The first week, obviously, we had to learn how to integrate, but I think it's been absolutely fantastic. The kids have been playing really well. I think if you're upfront and you're honest with each other, there shouldn't be an issue on being able to integrate properly and get along together. And it's been working out really fantastic for us so far.
Are they the same? No. Turn them over. Try another one.
Part of that integration is going to school. 6-year-old Roman is in P2 and he's settling in well.
We use a lot of nurture activities which are led by Roman as well, and that's through play, through drawing, through talking, and also we've been using some conversational Ukrainian as a staff, although I do have to say I tried something last week with Roman and asked, have I got that right? And he looked at me and went, no. So we're still building on that as a staff as well.
The family want to return to Ukraine as soon as possible, but for now they're embracing their new life here with open arms. Vanessa Taff, STV News, Lanark.
Kelvingrove Art Gallery today unveiled its latest exhibition, a retrospective celebrating the life and work of the acclaimed Scottish artist and playwright John Byrne. The Paisley-born creative wrote the Slab Boys trilogy and Tutti Frutti, as well as painting an array of famous works, including portraits of Billy Connolly. Laura Boyd went along to see them for herself.
John Patrick Byrne, A Big Adventure, opened today at Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum, showcasing some of the legendary artist and playwright's most striking work. For those first through the door, the exhibition certainly struck a chord.
I just really love the style and the fun of it all.
Really love the colours, the portraits are fantastic.
I think it's very individual. You look at a John Byrne painting, that's a John Byrne painting. No one else paints like him.
Martin Craig had the task of putting the collection together. No easy feat with an extensive back catalogue the calibre of 82-year-old Burns.
John's had such a diverse career. There's a lot of ways we could go with the exhibition, and I think you can't get it all in, but just trying to hint at it. So, you've got the Slab Boys, the Jerry Rafferty albums, or you've got Tutti Frutti. Everybody loves Tutti Frutti. Everybody remembers Billy Connolly and his flares, but also there's works that haven't really been seen before.
And you had him along yesterday. Was that nerve-wracking?
So it was really great that we managed to get here. So him and his wife Janine spent a good couple of hours. He said it was wonderful and it really brought back memories. And what was quite touching, he said his mum and dad would be proud. So that kind of got me a wee bit.
Well, walking around here, it is clear to see what a prolific painter and brilliant artist in general John Byrne is. And I actually had the pleasure of sitting down with him and his wife Janine just a few months ago, where he told me he's not quite ready to hang up that paintbrush just yet.
You just feel very good about yourself that you can still pick up a pencil or a paintbrush. But it is much more difficult. I'm keeping busy, even though I'm 106.
You can join John on his big adventure at Kelvin Grove until the 18th of September. Laura Boyd, STV News.
Let's continue the adventure. Raman has the sport.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Good evening. Motherwell have made their first signing of the summer. Blair Spittle joins the club on a 2-year deal. Manager Graham Alexander says he's very happy to have recruited the 26-year-old who will offer more options in attack. The midfielder scored 7 times in all competitions for Ross County last season. Former Scotland midfielder Charlie Adam says Steve Clarke's squad will take massive confidence from qualifying for last year's Euros as they aim to reach the World Cup in Qatar. The team face Ukraine at Hampden in the semi-final playoffs next week. If they win this, they'll face Wales in the final for a place in the tournament later this year.
We're in a good place. We're the Scotland boys, they're confident. We've got a good manager that's very humble, but knows what he wants, and the confidence they can take out of the Euros and not so long ago is huge. I think it makes a difference, the mindset of the country and the players. I think everybody now you see is looking forward to an international game, and it's not just Scotland are playing again, it's when Scotland playing, they're looking forward to, excited.
And if Scotland do get to the playoff in Wales, it will be shown live right here on STV. On to rugby, and Pierre Schumann says he's ready to extend a marathon season by going on Scotland's summer tour of Argentina. The prop has been an ever-present for Scotland and a vital player for Edinburgh as the club approaches the URC playoffs. But he says his workload has been managed to prevent him from burning out.
There's been a lot of games, but like I said, the SNC carried us well through with a good pre-season. And they manage us very well. We know we have to hit the ground running on Friday or Saturday when it's game day. And then regarding after the summer, for myself, if selected for Scotland, we'll join the test there.
Scottish racer Sandy Mitchell is targeting more British GT Championship success at Donington Park this weekend, following a race-winning performance at Silverstone last time out. The 22-year-old Lamborghini driver won the marathon 3-hour race by just half a second and says it'll be just as tough this Sunday. Here's Chris Harvey.
3 gruelling hours of driving concludes with former racer Sandy Mitchell winning the Silverstone 500 by just half a second. It was an action-packed race that saw numerous spins and crashes, including Mitchell's co-driver Adam Ballon being clipped by a rival. The hard-earned victory keeps Mitchell's Black Bull whiskey-backed team firmly in championship contention.
We worked really well together, and obviously last year was our first year being teammates and sharing a car. I think we've grown a lot in that, and Adam's just improving all the time, and I'd say I'm the same. It's still always a lot to learn, and we've both done a really strong job so far this season. We had a tricky first round, but a lot of it wasn't in our control, and then we just put it all together at Silverstone and delivered a really good performance. So
this weekend sees the British GTs return to Donington Park for the first time this season. The win at Silverstone comes at a cost though, a 20-second success penalty, a handicap they'll just have to overcome.
It's all part of the championship with British GT. There's a success penalty in place, so it'll be the same for the next few races going on of the top three from each the finishers from each race. But obviously we had a great Silverstone, so it makes our job a little bit tougher here at Donington. So we had a test day yesterday, and then a day off today, and back out on track tomorrow for some more testing and qualifying. So we definitely need to try and have a good quality and start near the front, because if we can build a gap to some cars behind, then that penalty shouldn't affect us as much as we hope.
After his exploits at Donington this weekend, Sandy heads out to France for the 6 hours of Paul Ricard, a 1,000-kilometre endurance race he's won before.
And good luck to Celtic and Glasgow City, who face each other in the Women's Scottish Cup final this weekend.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Joe Farrell has the weekend weather forecast.
Hello, we're going to lose the brisk winds and the heavy downpours at the weekend, but as the wind goes around towards the north, it is going to feel chilly by night. Let's have a look at the forecast.
The outlook for the day is calm and settled. TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
Hello, we've seen some blustery winds through today, bringing with them a whole host of showers, particularly across northern and western parts. Southern Scotland's been a bit more sheltered, but pressure is beginning to rise. So that's easing off the showers, and the winds will be lighter through tonight. However, as we go into the weekend, we're going to pick up a cooler northerly wind. So for tonight, it's clear and dry, hardly any breeze, but under those clearing skies, the temperatures will fall away down into single figures, and a few spots in the north for inland areas could even see a touch of grass frost. So a cool start for Saturday, but fine and bright for many. There will be more cloud, perhaps some light showery outbreaks of rain coming into the far north of Scotland, but across much of the mainland it's looking fine and bright, some good sunshine. And if you're out of that cool breeze, we could see the temperatures up to around 15 to 17 Celsius, so not feeling too bad at all. We hold on to the fine dry weather and sunshine across central and southern areas, but it looks like it'll be another cool night across Scotland. By Sunday, that cool breeze is bringing with it a lot of cloud, particularly across eastern areas, where the temperatures will struggle at only around 11 or 12 Celsius. Further west, brighter, perhaps up to around 15. By the time we get to Monday, though, it's looking much more unsettled, with some heavy showers coming down from the north.
TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
So it's looking not too bad. What have you got lined up for us, Emma, at the weekend?
Oh, just a nice quiet one. A birthday party for 8 one-year-olds.
8? Well, the tears, the upset, the taking too much. Not 21-year-olds, 1-year-olds. Okay, I'm with you now. Okay.
1-year-olds.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.